got with me today Joel Parker. Joel is a member of our team and has a lot of expertise in the Microsoft M365 environment, and especially some of the tools that you may not remember you actually get access to, or you may not have used in the past. And so we're going to talk a lot today about M365 and the way that you use those, Joel. So first, welcome. Why don't you introduce yourself and some of the things that you do here at DMC?
Yeah, well, so glad to be here with Coffee with Jason, although I don't have my coffee cup because it's a little bit later in the day. Normally drink my coffee in the morning. But yeah, so I'm almost through my second year with DMC Technology Group as a client executive. So I, do a lot of customer interaction, lots of relationship building. I'm the solutions guy for all my customers, all the requests I get, the random, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? Or can you guys do? And so, yeah, so I do a lot of that. And it's been a really fun ride for the last 2 years, I'll say.
Good. And you've got some background in Office 365 as a practitioner at other big companies. Why don't you fill us in a little bit about that background and, perhaps some of the things you've done in your history?
Yeah, so I have a really weird IT past, right? I got my start as a teenager working on computers with viruses back in the days of dial-up internet. And then I did a lot of work in the nonprofit space. So I got a lot of exposure to cloud platforms, to Google, to Microsoft, even prior to Microsoft making a really big push into the 365 space. And then I kind of made a leap into corporate information technology. That was a really, really cool transition. And I dove right into Microsoft 365 cloud management, specifically around SharePoint, and then also moved into Exchange not long after, Teams management, you name it, everything 365, under our umbrella. So that was a really, really good team to work with. Loved all those guys, loved all those ladies, really, really cool stuff. That was early on in the days of Microsoft Teams, which was really cool. Because Teams was not a thing for most customers, and we were working hands-on with it and trying it out with Microsoft and giving a really good kick to those tires and finding all kinds of cool things that worked and really cool things that didn't work, and had a really good time doing that with that crew over there.
Good. So let's kind of dive into the Office 365 space and M365 specific. There's a lot of tools that come with the packages depending on what level you're at.
Right.
What's one of your favorite tools that maybe is lesser known? Not the Teams, not the Mail, not the SharePoint, but what's one of your favorite tools?
Well, I live in email all day long, but that's probably one of my least favorite things about the Microsoft 365 environment. Right now, what I'm really giving a lot of attention to is Microsoft Loop. A lot of people received access to Microsoft Loop and didn't even know it because it's included in so many levels of licensing. And Loop is a very powerful tool. It's a very customizable platform, and out of the box allows you to do a lot of things very quickly that used to take a lot more time to set up. Even from project planning boards, where you have Microsoft Planner as kind of another less commonly used tool that's accessible via maybe Microsoft Teams or directly through the web interface. You can do project plans in Loop, but you can also house entire projects start to finish as opposed to just the task board, which I've found to be really, really beneficial, especially for team collaboration, being able to keep everybody on pace and in the same place at the same time without having to bounce back and forth between different platforms.
One of the things I like about Loop is I can get it on my mobile device as well. So a lot of times at night when I'm trying to remember who did I talk to or what did I do in this space, I can jump into my Loop notes and find that pretty quickly. And I really like the feature of expanding beyond just your desk or your laptop, but that kind of ubiquitous access across all platforms that you have.
Oh, yeah.
So, Loop is an interesting one because it's one of the tools now that helps kind of bring everything together. It allows you as a user to take all of your meeting notes and put it in there, but also kind of connect it to everybody else, share it with others. And, OneNote was supposed to be that platform. You mentioned Planner in the past. There's been a lot of different ways that, Microsoft has introduced tools into the package, but Loop has kind of become that one now that's bringing everybody back together. Tell me, how do you think it makes us more efficient, maybe faster at what we do, or better prepared for meetings than some of these other tools have offered in the past?
That's a great point to bring up, right? Because before you had to bounce around to different things. Okay, the meeting notes are maybe in the Outlook calendar event, and there was an email about this last week, and let's go check the project planner board, right? Now all that stuff can live inside of Loop, and even like you bring up one of my favorite four-letter words in business, which is meetings, right? I absolutely hate meetings. I'm notorious for asking questions ahead of the meeting. I like the pre-reads. I like to have a lot of the information up front, and sometimes I like to try to see if I can't make a meeting an email, right? Loop is great for tying into Microsoft Outlook. Right now, there's a button, and when you schedule your calendar appointments, you can actually drop in meeting agendas right there. So everyone has it at the moment that they've been invited to the meeting. And then as those meetings are updated and as people fill in information, that's all live. So every time you go look at that meeting, you're going to see all that information right there at your fingertips. Whereas before, you'd wait to show up to the meeting to get a lot of this information. And the first 15 minutes of an hour-long meeting is catching up and trying to get everybody on the same page. Now that can all happen in real time and with a quick read, whether it's 5 minutes or 20 minutes before the meeting. If that information is already in there in that Loop module, you've already got the information, which makes meetings more productive. They take less time. They take people away from what they're supposed to be doing and spending more time engaging with whether it's customers or business improvement, et cetera. You just get through that calendar block much more quickly and much more efficiently. And I love being able to get that information out there on the front end to everybody that's joining the meeting. And even those that are joining late, right? You can add somebody 2 minutes before the meeting starts, and with a quick perusal of that Loop module, they've got all the information that everybody in the meeting has.
Yeah, and I love the idea of getting the things out early, getting all the information you can into people's hands so that they're ready for the meeting, prepared. Meetings tend to be shorter at that point. We tend to be more productive. One of the things that comes after the meeting is typically the meeting notes, which we know can go into Loop now. Can you also attach some of the recordings from Teams, or you've got Copilot now into Teams that allows you to create kind of the context that was part of that in addition to the meeting notes? Are those able to go into Loop as well?
Yes. So because Loop is hyper flexible, it doesn't need to house anything, right? Nothing is necessarily living in Loop. But when you drop in things like you could take a transcript, right? Copilot recording a meeting will give you a transcript of the meeting. You can also ask for summaries. You can paste those types of things in. But if you've recorded a Teams meeting, especially if you have people that aren't maybe in your organization, people from outside the organization, you can take those links to those recordings, drop them straight into Loop, and then everyone still has that kind of home base to go back to, right? We went to this project page, we looked at our workspace, and now underneath here, we've got our meetings, and here's the link to the meeting. It pulls it up in a browser window. So it never takes you away from the platform, but delivers everything to you pretty seamlessly. And all of those things, again, don't necessarily then become housed in Loop, but Loop becomes the home base for getting access to all those things.
Yeah. Okay. So I mentioned Copilot. I'm glad we can move all of that into Loop as some sort of a connection. Copilot is new. It's one of the things that's come out recently, and so we move from one tool to another. A lot of people in our organization asked for a Copilot license. We wanted to make sure that everybody was going to use it. We've rolled out Copilot here for many of our users. You were one of the people that asked for that license. In addition to that, we've hired an intern to learn how we use Copilot and things that we can do beyond what's our day-to-day. And she's had some great success teaching us some things in there. I'm curious, when you asked for a Copilot license, what did you think you were going to use it for initially? And then what has your experience been with Copilot since then?
That's a great question. So Copilot, was kind of launched just off the cuff. It came out, it was deployed for everybody at the same time. So we never had a chance to try it out before it was generally available. I didn't know initially what I was going to use it for, but I decided I would try to use it for anything that I could. One of the ways that I found that I most like to use it is going through my inbox. And like most people, my mailbox is overflowing with stuff. And a lot of it's not really relevant. A lot of it's informational, but a lot of times there's specific language around action items that either I or somebody that I'm working with need to do. And I can ask Copilot to list out every action item that looks like it's open. I can give it a time period and I can say, hey, over the last 2 weeks, what are any open action items that are unresolved? And Copilot will give me a summary of links to all of the emails with each of the tasks, whether they're my tasks or others' tasks.
Awesome. Well, Joel, I appreciate the time. I mean, really, people should walk away from this with the fact that the tools in Office 365 are meant to make us more efficient, make us better at our jobs,
Yes.
make us quicker at getting response to any action or any person who's asking for help. And I think what we heard was both Loop and Copilot have really helped you get through those. So I appreciate the time and I appreciate the insight. And you guys, everybody have a great day.